Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be evaluating AcreValue. Title of today's webinar is going to be focused on the data that we can get out of the program, specifically related to natural capital assets. And what we're going to be focusing on is timberland, cropland, grassland, anything that we can define as natural capital. So first off, here in the map, wanted to start by going into the map and showing some of the layers that we provide and some filters so we can narrow down a piece of land that we're going to be using as an example today. So number one, over here on the left, we've got quite a few map layers here, everything from protected areas, soil, more due diligence, things like flood zones. Then we can get into some more high level topics such as remediation sites, electrical grid, and we'll go ahead and overlay all these as we're looking at the map. But first thing I wanted to do, today we're going to change it up a little. I know if you've been on one of these before, I usually focus on the state of Texas because that is where we're based here in the Austin area. But today we'll be switching it up a little and looking at some area in the valley in Central California. So what I've done so far is I've gone ahead and put some filters on this already. So I've excluded government land. I'm looking for parcels between 500 and 650 acres. And for today's exercise, our land use is going to be looking for grass pasture land and non-cropland. So once I put on these filters, AcreValue will then identify all the parcels that match. As you can see, as I hover over all these parcels, these all match our parameters. And if I click one, we can go ahead and zoom in to the results, and we can get a parcel card here on the left that will show some important information about the parcel, the size, parcel ID, where it's located. We're going to spend a minute here talking about the owner here. So we've got Dana Roy Richards. If we want to contact this owner, say this is a viable parcel and we want to move forward with it, we can use our integrated skip trace in here to get any publicly available information on these people. So from their name, their age, phone numbers, alternate addresses, if they have any others, email addresses, a lot of good information here so we can get in contact with the owner. Second thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to verify, see if this owner owns any other parcels outside of this one. And it looks like they do. They own one other parcel down here on the bottom right hand of the screen. So the system will automatically flag and zoom out to show all the parcels that they own in the area. From there, I really like to double check this other feature here, viewing all parcels with this owner's mailing address. Nothing changed. Sometimes it does. Sometimes owners will have other properties with the same address, but under a different name, maybe an LLC. And that's going to be a good double check there. So from here, if we want to go ahead and run a full report on this parcel, get to know it a little better, do some diligence on it, look at some sales comps. This usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds to generate. And we will go ahead and walk through some of these areas here. So first of all, this is going to be your overview of the parcel and other data points within the specific county. So we're in Merced County, again, California. So it's going to show the county average as far as a price per acre. For this particular property, it looks like it's partially cropland, grass pasture, and then non-cropland. Agricultural 2 is the zoning code here, as you can see. Not all parcels will contain a zoning code, but any zoning information that is available, we will provide. And then again, some just high-level attributes of this county. It's saying that this is a high-tax county in comparison with some of the other ones in the area. Average NCCPI, so this is going to be your soil score, so the ability for the soil to produce crops. So county average, pretty low. This is scored with AcreValue on a 0 to 100 scale, but this property is a little higher than that county average. And then it's going to just provide a high-level overview of this field. If you were selecting multiple parcels for this report, it would go ahead and list them out here. Your let longs, your slope, again, the crops, looks like 99% grass or pasture land, your zoning, and then that county average. And moving on to the sales comps section of the report, the AcreValue is going to provide 4 comps for this particular parcel, but we can actually go ahead and filter these down, adjust anything needed. So our target parcel is almost 600 acres. I'm going to want to look at comps between 4 and 800. Tillables at 0, so I'm just going to remove that. It looks like just arid land. And I'm going to keep it to go back to 2024 for the comps. And as you can see, when we update these criteria, the system will automatically pull 4 new comps for the selection. So they're all listed out here with all their overview attributes. But if you wanted to get into details and click on one, we can go ahead and do that for any of the comps listed. This will switch over to the comp view page. So it'll go ahead and list that, okay, this comp was from 4/29/2026, so pretty recent. Land sold for $6.1 million. And again, we can find who the owner is, the new buyer, the new owner, who sold it, document number, and then as well as some mortgage information when available. So if it's not a cash sale, we can take a look at the lender, the mortgage amount. If there's a maturity date, that would be listed in here as well as an interest rate. And then your LTV ratio, which is your land to value ratio. So going back to the report, again, you can do this with any of the comps here and adjust the comps as needed. It looks like our per acre average for these comps, mainly due to the size of the parcel, is going to be 11,209, which is below the county average, but that county average is taken into account all parcel sizes, while this is specifically looking at these comps that are 537 acres and above. From here, it's going to provide some basic diligence on the property. So number one, we're going to have the heat map here of all the elevation areas. So as you can see, the red areas are going to be higher elevation, whereas the green over here, darker green is going to be your lower elevation areas. So it's going to break that down on the heat map, as well as the ranges, how many acres fall under each range, and the percent of the area of the parcel. Next one, again, with the heat map and then your value ranges. This is going to be your NDVI, which is the richness density of the vegetative layer on the property. So at NDVI, pretty low here for most of the property, as it is, grass pasture, kind of arid looking land. So you're not going to have a ton of green on this pasture. The next one's going to be soil survey. Quite a few different soil types relevant to this particular parcel. And again, we're going to have a heat map breaking it down exactly where it lies on the property, as well as what percentage of the field, your soil class, NCCPI. Again, as you can tell, some of these areas have a higher NCCPI than others. So the more richness, and for example, the Snell and sandy loam, and as far as these other two varieties of Snell and sandy loam as well. Expected, out here, not a lot of flood areas of interest, but if there were any flood areas present, again, I would break it down here on the property. Now, crop history, this is going to be crop/land use history. So it looks like that hasn't really changed over the past 5 years. But if it was, this would break down on the per year basis as the land use has changed. And then finally, wrapping up last few parts of the report. So we'll go ahead and give you the tax amount of the property, your assessed value, where it's located, and then any legal description we can pull from the deed that may be relevant. Again, no conservation easements on this property, so no info there. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little just for this exercise so you can see this a little better. This is going to be all your energy and renewable areas around the parcel of choice. It can be a range anywhere from 1 to 5 miles. And let me go ahead and toggle on all these categories so you can see some of the things provided here. So it's going to break down everything from your water bodies to, looks like this may be a gas line or transmission line, but it will also provide oil and gas lines, oil wells, even organic farms, any conservation protected areas, as you can see here. Gives you a high level overview of any points of interest around your property. And then from here, what we can do is we can download this report. You can check or uncheck any of these boxes off the report if you don't want to include a certain thing. For example, there's no need to include anything about the easements or flood hazards since there are none present, so we can check that off. And from here, really easy, you can share this link with anybody that can view the report, print, download it, share it to social media, or simply just email it out of the software. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and download the report because there is one other thing with our enterprise tier subscriptions that one of make you aware of. So up here, as you can see, AcreValue Pro, this would actually be replaced with our enterprise tier subscriptions with any logo of your company's choice. So it looks like a truly internally generated report. And again, including everything that we went through from the comps to the diligence areas here. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and clear out my filters. We've been working on the parcel map. We actually have two other maps that I wanted to talk about today. Number one is going to be our for sale map. As I zoom out, you're going to start to see current listings populated. So this is going to be any current listings that we've got integrated through our parent company, land.com. So this is going to be feeding from land.com, landwatch.com, and landandfarm.com, any currently active listings that you can go ahead and view and then give you a high-level overview from the AcreValue site, or you can simply go to the original listing, as you can see from land.com, and view this property again for sale. So really brief, very simple, integrated into there. And the last part, spend a little time on, is going to be our sold land database. So this is actually where our sold land comps are coming from. Again, I'm going to put in some filters here. We're going to look at Merced County again. And it looks like our sales comps go back to 2014. So it looks like from that time, there are just over 9,000 sales comps that meet our criteria. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort these just from the past year for this exercise, and then any comps over 500 acres. Let's see what results come back. Okay, we got 4 in here with our very limited parameters. From here, I like to switch to a list view, just easier to see and digest all these comps here. But essentially, you're able to search with any parameters you'd like. It's not just sales comps being pulled from the report, but you can actually search the comps themselves. And from here, see everything relevant as far as sale dates, amount per acre, who's buying and selling these properties. A lot of companies I work with, they really like to do this as an evaluation of a certain region or county. And they can say, okay, I want to go in and see how many parcels Liberty Packing Company has been buying over the past so many years. You can actually go ahead and enter them directly in here and search directly for a buyer or seller as well. So a couple different ways we can do that. From here, what we can do is we can see all the information on the comp at this level, but we can actually also run a report on this comp or group of comps. Just get rid of that. From here, I can go ahead and select Get Full Report. Again, these reports usually take 5 seconds to generate, sometimes up to 10, depending on the amount of parcels that you, parcels or sales that you put on here. So as my report's generating, same thing, but this is going to be specific to this one sale. It's going to give you some details that we had shown in the high-level overview, as well as breaking down. So it looks like this sale was these 2 parcels. So as I mentioned before, this will list out 2 different parcels here instead of just one, give you the amount, sales price per acre, total acreage, county average again. From here, you can actually run comps on that particular sale and again, edit them as needed. And then again, it will break down elevation, vegetation, and break it up into the 2 different fields, as you can see here. So quite a bit of good information to digest, breaking it down for the whole field as well as the 2 individual parcels that were sold. And this is going to give you a little better view of what we're talking about with the land use or crop use. So as you can see with all these fields, and again, broken down by individual, it's going to break down the last 5 years. We got the 2025 data in, and this is actually the first week that we have launched with the 2025 data. That replaces the year of 2020, which fell off. So the last 5 years here, you can see as the land use has changed, non-crop land has been pretty relevant the last 2 years. And then from there, it looks like it breaks down grass pasture land, as well as some small crop growth here as well. From here, we're going to be able to see the ownership of the 2, the Merced Falls Ranch LLC, and then again, any legal description we can pull. From here, again, can take a look at some of these additional items that did not appear on the last time we did this on the last report. So your remediation sites, any power plants that need to be made aware of, substations, some of our electrical information. So as you can see here, transmission lines, got an oil pipeline running down through here, a couple organic farms just to the north, and then a protected area. Looks like a state conservation area to the north as well. And then the last area I wanted to focus on is actually in those map layers themselves after we've explored, number one, how to look at a report for a parcel or parcels, as well as a report for a sales comp parcel. So from here, we've got a new feature, the zoom into view. Every layer is going to be different as far as the viewpoint and where you have to zoom to find it. So for example, this broadband coverage is going to be at a much higher level. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into view. And as you can see, these hexagons here are going to break down everything, where the fiber is located, who's providing it, what areas it's providing. But let me give you another example. If I check this off and I instead want to look at, let's say, for this exercise, we'll do protected areas. Once you zoom out to a certain level, they will actually disappear. And that's just for how the data, how much of it is compacted and how it generates here on the map. But this zoom into view actually makes it easier, where you can clearly just zoom in all the way and take a look at those layers as they are turned on and off and generated. Now, the power of this map here is when you're searching for a certain area or looking in a particular area, is being able to actually layer these different layers on top of each other. So for example, and I'm going to just zoom in a little more for that fiber coverage, we can rule out certain areas as far as either inside or outside of a conservation area. So I was looking just outside of California. That's why that wasn't rendering. Do that one more time. So we've got our protected areas on here, and then we can overlay that fiber availability. So if we're looking here, okay, perfect. This area looks viable because it's outside of these protected areas and it already has some good fiber coverage in the area. So from here, we can start to overlay some additional layers. So I want to put on FEMA flood zones. Looks like there is some high flood potential areas here, but nothing again in our target zone. Can generate all the water bodies in the area if a source of water is important. And then again, as everything works on a zoom level, let me just zoom in so I can see some of the parcels here. And then as you can see, all of our parcels will start to show. So we've identified as this area as having some fiber availability. We can turn on one other layer, see if there's any electrical grid information in the area. So there is a distribution line and a transmission line here in the area. So that means that there is the availability of electricity as well. So if somebody, for example, looking to develop a data center could go ahead and say, okay, this is perfect. We've got a water source here in the area. We've got our electrical transmission lines, distribution lines for power. And this looks like a site that could be viable. So from here, again, as I did before, we can go ahead and search our database here for the owner, get that contact information. We're probably going to need to do a few of these in the area because it looks like there are multiple parcels that are large, but if we are wanting to build in a certain area, parcel stitching is really where the advantage of AcreValue comes in. We can go ahead, save that parcel for later, onto the next one, and get their contact information and go from there. And again, using that search feature, viewing all parcels with the same owner, really easy to do. That's going to be my high-level overview of AcreValue. Really appreciate y'all taking the time to join today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we'll email out a recap, and it'll have my contact information in there. If you need anything from me, please feel free to reach out and let me know. Otherwise, really appreciate the time, guys.